So great to see you again. It's Judy from Coffee, Cookies, and Books. And what we're going to do today is we're going to play my Yahtzified game for September's TBR. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you'll stick around. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to play Yahtzified again for September's TBR. Now, when we left off Yahtzified in the last set, I think there's only 3 spaces left, something like that. I'll see if I can put a quick picture of that up for you. And from that, we have to pull this month's TBR. So at the beginning of it, I'm going to explain what we're going to do once we get over to the Yahtzified board. It's going to be a tough go for September. We're probably going to end up with a huge TBR. But, you know, if I don't read them all, I don't read them all. But it'll give me a good selection to pick from. That's for sure. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to address is my must-reads for the month. So for September, I am not going to read anything from my 25 must-reads in 2025 because I don't really have to. That board is almost completed. So between October, November, and December, it's pretty much going to get finished off. Outside of Heat of the Everflame, which I am not going to read this year, is going to get moved to next year because the 4th book is not coming out until next year. So I don't want to read that till the 4th book is coming out. So that one's going to get kind of X'd off the TBR as unread. But you know what? I've certainly made up for it because I've gone past my Goodreads challenge. Like, I think I've almost tripled my Goodreads challenge, what I had it originally set for. So I'm making great progress. I am not going to worry about it too much. But what I do have is I do have my 2 BuzzRead challenges. So for the first one is the BuzzRead reading challenge for September. And what I have on that is Eruption, which is by Michael Creighton and James Patterson. So a combined duo is writing this one. And it says on the back, a history-making eruption is about to destroy the big island of Hawaii. And the U.S. military has made a terrible mistake that could mean the end of life as we know it. So it sounds like a bit of a suspense, little bit of thriller. Obviously, there's an eruption. So, yeah, I think this one sounds really, really good. I mean, I like both writers, so very much looking forward to this one. So that one is definitely going to get read in the month of September. The other one that's definitely going to get read for the BuzzRead cover challenge is Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. And this one is in this gilded gothic and darkly romantic new epic fantasy series. A young woman's secret power to raise the dead plunges her into the dangerous world of the sainted king's royal court. So I thought that sounded fascinating. Now, I don't know if this is rated under YA. Not 100% sure about that. We shall see. I think it's going to be a really great book, and I've actually seen a lot of good reviews for it. And I do have the second book in the series. I think the 3rd one just came out. I do have the second one, which I think is it The Hemlock Queen? I think it's the second one. Anyway, so get this one read, move on to the second one. So that one is a must read. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get on to our first roll of Yahtzified. So it is time to pick September's TBR. Now, what we need to do is we need to go over where we left off at the end of August. And what we did was we managed to pull, our final roll was 3 5s. And that means that we get to eliminate something on the bottom. Should have done that in a previous video. Doesn't really matter. We can do it here. So what we're going to do is we look at what we have. We have what we have left. We have 4 of a kind on a high roll. We have Yahtzified on a low roll and Yahtzified on a high roll. The logical thing to do is to remove the Yahtzified on a low roll, because 4 of a kind and 5 of a kind, we could roll either one. So, and they're both on high roll, which is 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to eliminate Yahtzified on a low roll. And that way, these two do kind of go together, which I think works really great. Now, the other thing is we are clearly almost finished the game. So we have 2 spots left. So we have 2 things that will happen here. One, we could end up rolling all the way to 12 selections, which is the maximum, and still not have those filled, or even only have 1 filled or whatever. If we get to 12, then what happens is we automatically finish this game and in October move on to game 2 and start fresh. The other thing that could happen is we could get lucky, and before we get to 12, we could fill these in early before 6 rolls is completed. If we finish and we roll these before 6 rolls is completed, we then get to move on to game 2 to finish our 6 rolls. We also get the bonus, because we filled them, of removing a book or adding a book of our choice. So that's what we get. So there's only basically 2 ways this is going to go. It's either going to go really bad because we're going to end up with way too many books, or it could go in our favor and we could get lucky and get 4 of a kind. I'm going to say the likelihood is that we're not going to get that lucky, but you never know. Okay, so we're going to start with our first roll. And well, we don't have anything same, so we'll just leave it at 6s because we need high. And this is not starting out the best. So clearly we didn't get either one. So right off the bat, we are at 7 rolls. So let's just do this. Split our deck, and the first book is Metal Slinger. And that goes down here. And the first book we pulled is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I've had this book for a while and have not gotten around to reading it. So perfect, that's being put on the TBR for this month. And let me just shove on the glasses because that just makes it easier to read. It's Fire and Metal Book 1, so obviously it's part of a series. And it says, Bee has spent the better part of her life waiting for the chance to attend the annual market hosted by the Kanta, the very same people who exiled the Allaha to live a life over the sea, a rite of passage for all young guards. She's not sure what to expect from it, but breaking a century-long peace treaty certainly isn't on her map. Neither is the encounter with an enemy soldier. So I'm not going to read any more than that, but it is a romantasy as far as I know. Everything I've heard, I've actually kind of heard mixed reviews about the book. Everyone says the ending's really great. I don't know how I'll feel about it. Not huge about things necessarily on the sea. Yeah. We shall see. We'll see how it comes, how I like it. And this, I think, is the self-published version of it. Yeah, pretty sure this is, and that it's been picked up by a traditional publisher. So I have the self-published version of it. The new cover that I've seen is it's the same, but a little bit prettier. Obviously, it's got heavier accents on it. Anyway. That is the first book. Now on to the next roll. roll 1. And as I said, right from the get-go, we're at 7 rolls. Again, nothing on the high side, which sucks. Oh, look at that. We got 6s and 5s. It's like, take a choice, take a choice. Oh, almost. Only got 2. So, 8 rolls it is. This really sucks. So, it'd be nice to at least get those, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Okay. So, this one is Dark Soul. That is number 2 in a Grimdark series that I have. So the next book that was chosen is Dark Soul by Anna Stevens. The gods of light are falling. So this is the second book in the first book was Godblind, and I can't remember if I read that in June. I think I read it in June, and it is a grim, dark, epic fantasy. So it's pretty dark. It even starts off very, very dark, and where it ends off is in a fairly dark place. So this continues the story. Now, the thing that I took some getting used to in the first book, which I suspect won't be an issue in this book, was it has a ton of points of view. But as you go through them, you realize they're important points of view. So each one has a very strong voice. It just took a while to develop there through the first book. So I suspect that going through this book is going to be much easier, and all of it's, from what I can tell, it's all the same voices and it's all the same people. So now that I have a grip on the story, I'm really looking forward to the second book. There is one more book in the series. It is a trilogy. Once I get this one read, the third one will go in my TBR cards, and hopefully that'll get pulled. If it doesn't, because I want to finish the series, I probably will put it on as a must-read for 2026, because it would make sense, because then I can just complete the series without having to wait for it to get pulled. So, because I have a lot of books. All right, on to our next roll. That's the second book, and we're on 8 rolls. Of course we are. Okay. Oh, we got 2 4s, and 4s are highs. So, and oh, we got our 4 of a kind. Can we get 5? No, but we did get that, which is fantastic. So, oh, let me grab a star, and we will pop that in there. So we managed to get that, and but we still have to choose 8 books. So no matter what happens, we have to choose 8 books. Okay, so we'll split this, and Gunslinger. So that is a reread of the Dark Tower, first book in the Dark Tower. So our next pull is The Gunslinger by Stephen King, and this is a reread for me because I am rereading the entire Dark Tower series. I vaguely recall the first 3 books, this one in particular, and want to continue on to the final books in the series. I don't remember much of anything about them, and I did lose the original batch of books that I had. I had the whole series. It went missing in a move, and so I have now acquired, I think, up to book 4 or 5. So, and they're all in this format, and it's this new paperback format that Amazon is offering, although I did get this off the book outlet. So, for anybody who has not read the Dark Tower series, I would say it's a pretty dark and fantastical series by Stephen King. It does also kind of relate back to other books that he's written. Like one book that comes to mind is The Stand, and there are certain scenes from The Stand appear in the Dark Tower series. So it's just, yeah, it's, like I remember when I read it, I enjoyed it, but now time for a reread because it's been a lot of years since I read it. So this one is going to get reread. This is actually probably the shortest book in the batch. I don't know how many pages exactly are in here. Yeah, 250. It looks like about 250. So this one for sure is going to get read in September. All right, on to roll number 4. Nice. Okay. Now, let's see if we can get 5 of kind on a high roll. Maybe not. 6s. Nope. So we need 9 books. Yay. Going to be another one of those TBRs like October's. We had 11 in October. All right. And Shift, which is the second book in the series After Wool by Hugh Howey. Okay, so again, I'm continuing another series. I read Wool at the beginning of the year, and this is the second book in the Silo series by Hugh Howey, and it's called Shift. So this just kind of picks up more or less where Wool left off, but I believe that this kind of takes a slightly different direction. But when you read book 3, it brings everything together. So I think this is kind of a bit more backstory on how they ended up in the silo, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, sci-fi. Loved the first book. I thought it was fantastic. Loved the writing. Loved the human element behind it. Yeah, I just thought it was amazing. It started off with a bang and just went from there. So very much want to read this one, and I'm glad it's on the TBR. I do hope I get to it. I have a hefty TBR, but I would say that all of the books so far are ones that I would like to make priority, except maybe Metal Slinger. But the ones we'll talk about it at the end, but I am going to probably set them up as a priority list and kind of go from there. And this one will definitely be on that list. All right, so now roll 5. 9 rolls we have. It's like, take your pick. I can't seem to get anywhere with these, can I? Oh, look at that. Oh, come on, one more. No. Okay. 10 books. Hi, vey. Okay, and split the deck. And it is Dissolution. I think that's by Nicholas Binge. I got that from Aardvark just recently. That's a new book. So, all right, next one is Dissolution by Nicholas Binge, and this is a book I got from Aardvark, and I loved the sound of it. It sounded very sci-fi based, sort of. It says, some memories aren't lost, they're stolen. Maggie Webb has lived the last decade caring for her elderly husband Stanley as memory loss gradually erases all the beautiful moments they created together. It's the loneliest she's ever felt in her life until a mysterious stranger named Hassan appears at her door, revealing a shocking truth. Stanley isn't losing his memories. Someone is actively removing them to keep a long-buried secret from coming to light. If Maggie does what she's told, she can reverse the degeneration. She can get her husband back. So I loved the sound of that. Like, it obviously sounds like sci-fi-y, but it also sounds like it's a very human story. So I love the combination of the two. I think that that's a fantastic way to go with it. Now, I did not read his previous book. I can't remember what the previous book was. Ascension was the previous book. I did not read that one, but this one I am very much looking forward to because just the subject matter really appeals to me. I can remember vaguely reading Ascension and it didn't particularly appeal to me, but this one really does. And, you know, if I like it, then I might very well get the other one and give it a go. So we shall see. So that's a good one to put on the list. So let's go to roll 6 or newer. I think that might have been June. Okay, what have we got? We've got 3 5s. Nope. Oh, close again. Oh, darn. Okay, what's that? 11, I think. So we get to a point where we're at the maximum of 12, which would be the next roll. Then we don't roll anymore. We automatically cover that and we just pick our total number of books that we need. Okay. So this is Hunting Prince Dracula. I think that's the second book in this series. I can't remember who it was written by, but yeah. Carrie Maniscalco. That's who that was written by. Okay, so that's 6. So this is the continuation of the series that was written by Carrie Maniscalco, and it started with Stalking Jack the Ripper. And so this is book 2, and it's Hunting Prince Dracula. The first book, so this is all like I think based in the 1800s. The first book was very much built around the story of Jack the Ripper, and it used a lot of the details, but of course changed the outcome and how everything transpired a little bit, that sort of thing. So now this one, Hunting Prince Dracula, I have no idea. You know, I mean, obviously with Jack the Ripper was real. Jack the Ripper was in 1800s England and had very specific details behind it. This one I have no idea how it's going to go. It says a man impaled by a sharp wooden stake, a young chambermaid drained of her blood. They say it's Prince Dracula arisen from the dead. I say it's the living, not the dead, we should fear the most. So that's what it says on the back. And I mean, the last one was a really, really quick read. I mean, this is not a short book. It's 400 pages, but the first one read really fast. So yeah, I think this is a good sort of soft mystery to put kind of in there. But yeah, like, you know, I wouldn't say that these are gory. I would say that it's just more the detail of what's occurring as opposed to like the outright gore of what happened. I mean, the first one did have some gory sections because obviously, you know, Jack the Ripper was pretty rough story, but hopefully we shall see how it goes. Well, that's actually a good one, I think. Okay, so now what are we down to? Now we're on to roll 7. What do we have? I can't remember if that's 10. No, that's 11. So we have one more roll to see if we can get the Yahtzee. If not, we're at 12 max, which we have to pull. And next one moves on to, I'm going to pick something different this time. I don't know if that's going to help. And it didn't. So we have to pick 12 books. So we're not going to roll anymore. We are actually finished this game, but we do not get a bonus because we had to finish it the wrong way instead of the right way. So in October, we'll start fresh, but we do have to pick 6 more books. So from the cards, let's see. So this is choice 7. You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. I think that's another Aardvark book, if I'm not mistaken. And roll 7 is You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. Now, I've had this on my TBR one or two times before and never got to it. It's another book that I picked up from Aardvark, and I really do want to read this one. It says, an exclusive thriller writer's retreat hosted on a private island turns lethal when one of the authors is found murdered in this twisted, locked room mystery. So, really very much looking forward to this one. Love the twisted whole thriller thing, sort of, and then there are none kind of feel to it. And yeah, so this one is for sure, I think, going to get read this time around because I didn't get to it before. So whenever something's been on my TBR more than once or twice, I definitely like to make sure it gets read the next time it's pulled, and this would be the case for this particular book. And now we're on to roll 8. All right, and again. Gonna have to replenish my cards soon. Her Soul to Take. I believe that's a dark romance, if I'm not mistaken, by Harley LaRue. Roll 8. Her Soul to Take, and by Harley LaRue. This is a dark romance. Now, I don't remember an awful lot about this. I remember that I had started reading it on Kindle. Actually really liked, I think I read probably 6 chapters in. I read quite a bit into the beginning of it and thought, no, you know what, I want to buy this one because when it's something I really, really like, I want to read it on paper. This one says, a college student has unleashed an irresistible darkness, a soul-hungry demon who might be her only chance at survival in the dark romance series by TikTok sensation Harley LaRue. So I know this is a series. I've only picked up the first book. We shall see how I feel. I'm kind of like that more with romance. I'll pick the first one up. If I like the first one, then I'll think about picking up the other books. But you gotta like that first one. So that is this one. Now, this is the 8th book, and I think we are at a point where we are going to end up pulling a lot of books. We shall see. So now we're on to roll 9. Okay, next one. I know, this is a little boring because it's all just shuffling, cutting, and picking, but it is what it is. Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dinniman. So that is book 3 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And roll 9 is Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. This one is going to get read. 100%. This is the 3rd book in the series, and I love the series. Can't say enough about Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's just 100% pure entertainment, but this pure entertainment with a great story, great characters. And so by the time you get to this book, you're invested. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that if you like it up to the end of this book, then you're going to finish the series. So 3rd book, going to definitely get read in September. It's like right at the top of the list of must-reads. Okay, so number 10. Okay, another one. Cut. And How to Sell a Haunted House. That's by Grady Hendrix. And number 10 is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And I haven't read anything by Grady Hendrix. I think this is the only book I have of his. Uh, and I liked the sound of this one, which is why I picked it up. This is when Louise finds out that her parents have died, she dreads going home. She doesn't want to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. She doesn't want to deal with her family home, stuffed to the rafters with the remnants of her father's academic career and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. She doesn't want to learn how to live without the two people who knew and loved her the best in the world. Most of all, she doesn't want to deal with her brother Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and resents her success. Unfortunately, she'll need his help to get the house ready for sale, because it'll take more than some new paint on the walls and clearing out a lifetime of memories to get this place on the market. But some houses don't want to be sold, and Louise and Mark's home has other plans for both of them. That sounds super creepy. Now, whether or not I get to it remains to be seen. It is one of the smaller books. What I tend to do with the smaller books that are on the TBR is I tend to leave them sort of towards the end of the month, to see how many days I have left, because I know I can read like 150 pages minimum in an evening when I'm sitting reading. So if that's what I have left to read, then I might, and I only have a few days left in the month, I might pick up something like this. Be more like it on the TBR. So it's always good to have something like that on the TBR. Okay, so now we're on to number 11. Okay, 2 more. Yeah, I'm going to have to replenish my cards soon. It's like when you get down to the end of the Yahtzee board, I'm ending up with these TBRs that are super huge. Indigo Ridge. So number 11 is Indigo Ridge by Devney Perry. Now, I know that this is a romance. I think it is a suspense romance. We'll just read a little bit on the back. Small town, enemies to lovers romance, taking TikTok by storm. Winslow Covington believes in life, liberty, and the letter of the law. As Quincy, Montana's new chief of police, she's determined to prove herself to the community and show them she didn't earn her position because her grandfather is the mayor. According to her pops, all she has to do is earn favor with the Edens, but winning over the town's founding family may have been easier if not for her one night stand with the oldest son. In her defense, it was her first night in town and she didn't realize who he was. So it goes from there. Now, the reason I say that I think it's a romantic suspense is because there does end up being a woman found dead on the Edens property. And her being the chief of police, you can kind of gather where the story goes from there. I've heard good things of this particular book, and I have read a previous series by Devney Perry and quite like it. Romantic series by her. Oh, not romantic suspense, it was contemporary romance, but I still enjoyed it. So we'll see how this one goes, if I even get to it, because this is book 11. And we have one more book, book 12. And last but not least, the 12th book is The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven. So book 12 is The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven. Now, this was recommended by, he's a gentleman, British fella that does, he's a dad, and I love watching his channel. And he has a lot of great thriller recommendations, and he recommended M.W. Craven, and I picked up 2 different books off of Book Outlet. So this was one of them, and I believe this is perhaps one of the first in a series. It says the most gripping thriller you'll read this year. A serial killer is burning people alive in the lake district's prehistoric stone circles. He leaves no clues and the police are helpless. When his name is found carved into the charred remains of the third victim, disgraced Detective Washington Poe is brought back from suspension and into an investigation he wants no part of. Reluctantly partnered with the brilliant but socially awkward civilian analyst Tilly Bradshaw, the mismatched pair uncover a trail that only Poe is meant to see. The elusive killer has a plan, and for some reason, Poe is part of it. So, love the sound of that. It's just, short thriller, 300 pages. So again, another good one to kind of add in. Yeah, these short ones are kind of like a nice break from anything that's a little bit longer. And that's it. So altogether I have 14 books. I am not going to read 14 books. It's highly unlikely that I'm going to read 14 books in September. Likelihood is, 6 to 10, somewhere in that number, depending on how long they are and how much time they take me, because some books read faster than others. Romances typically read a little bit faster than other deeper subjects, like grim dark fantasy that reads on a much slower basis. But it's still a good batch of books, and I honestly cannot wait to share them with you. I think you're going to love them, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what I think about all of them. So that's it for my September TBR. And if any of you are interested in any of the books, be sure to watch for my review at the end of September. Well, actually, early October is when the reviews typically go up. Is then. And without further ado, we'll see you in the next video.